Are you aware that life is beautiful? There are so many birds out here. It makes me so happy. I love birds. Hello, beautiful people. Today I am sharing my spiritual awakening story and my journey of facing light and dark and how my life has changed ever since. I realize that some of you may not resonate with any of this, and that's cool. And for some of you, this may make sense, and that's cool too. It means you're right there with me. So let's see, looking back at my life before this, I would say my life was like pretty shitty. Like I had a really negative outlook on life. Everything that would happen to me, I would blame on everything and anything but me, you know? And then suddenly my life took a complete 360 turn, and I have never looked at life the same ever since. So I'm really excited to share this with you all, whoever's watching. But an awakening is a sudden expansion or shift in consciousness where you're aware of your individual self and your connection with that and everything else. So like basically you realize that you are one with the universe. You are connected to everything, every living thing, right? And no one person has the same journey because we all have our own individual path and lesson to learn from and grow from. But I do believe that those who are awakening first, most likely it was due to going through a lot of pain, or like an event in their life took place, caused a lot of pain, and it made them kind of have like a wake-up call, you know, which is what happened to me. Like looking back at my life, I've gone through a lot of shit. I've gone through a lot of pain in my life, you know? But we all have gone through shit. But my story was a year ago. I was going through some shit. I lost a lot of close people in my life that I never imagined losing. I had attachments that I wasn't even aware of, and all these little events just adding up. It was such a lonely time in my life. It was like the loneliest time in my life, for sure. But I made it through. I'm alive. And then I had a close friend of mine who told me, you have no soul, you have no conscience, like you're so egotistical. I was like, what are you talking about? Like ego? What the fuck is ego? Like legit, I started like researching all these things, like what is ego? Why do we have an ego? Like, are people aware that they have an ego? All these stuff. And yeah, I just started like questioning my own self and like where I was in life. And then where the fun began, I came across this book that a girl posted on Instagram. And it's funny because a friend that I met in Costa Rica told me to follow this girl on Instagram, and I was like, sure. And so I did, and she posted this book on her story, and for some reason I knew that I had to buy that book. And at the time I was so broke, I couldn't even buy my college textbooks. Like, pretty sure all I had in my bank account at that time was like $15 to my name. And the book was like 14. But I bought it on Kindle. I just had this feeling that I had to read it right there, like as soon as possible. And so instead of studying, I ended up buying this book and reading it within 2 days. Like, just because the first chapter really had me so intrigued, I was like, wow, this is crazy. The book is called Untethered Soul, and I won't give it away because if you haven't read it, you should definitely read it. It will change your life if you read it with an open mind. But just within the first chapter itself, it basically discusses how, I don't remember if it was the first chapter, like the first couple chapters, where everything is a thought, right? Everything is a thought. Like, at the time I was a waitress, so it was really interesting to like just observe the interactions or the way that people would like act on me. Like, if you've ever worked customer service, you know that people can be really fucking rude. And so I just began to like have fun with it and just observe that, because the way that people act, I'm like, that was a thought before anything, right? The same goes for a text. Like, if someone ignores you, that was a thought. If someone breaks up with you over text, that was once a thought. That is not an accident. Just stuff like that. Like, this shirt was once a thought. Like, everything is a thought. And it's so simple, right? But not until you actually like give it thought. Like, everything is a thought, right? So then I really began to question everything, because I was going through such a painful stage in my life. I was like, if God loves us, why am I in pain? Or like, why do people suffer, you know? And I would try to stargaze like every clear night that I could, and I just started like questioning the universe, and I was like, why are we here? What are we, right? Like, what is jealousy? What are stars? Why is there day and night? Like, why is it okay to eat dead animal? Just questioning everything. And like the biggest question though was, who am I, right? Because most people, when you ask who are you, they say their name, their age, their job, everything that they identify themselves with. But in reality, that's not who you are. You're so much more than that, right? So I began to go more inwards and really started to resonate with a lot of things that I was like reading and researching. I began to really study like enlightened and spiritual teachers, and a lot of the things that I was coming across, like I started to really resonate with, and I was like, wow, that's wild. Like, I really thought I was going crazy with everything that I was learning. I was so distracted because I was in school at that time, but I was so much more intrigued by learning all these things, learning about the universe and our existence. And yeah, I thought I was going crazy. I was like, is anyone else aware that we are so much more than this? And then I started listening to Super Soul Sunday with Oprah, that podcast, amazing podcast. And there was this podcast where Oprah is talking about the fact that when you hear something and you resonate with it, and you have one of those like aha moments where you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, you don't even question it, you kind of like agree. And it's like, how, right? Because you already have the answers all within you. Like, if you resonate with something, it's because you already knew that. So an awakening really is just a process of remembering who you are to the core of your being, because there is an unlimited power within all of us. So an awakening is really just becoming more of who you are, which is so cool. You have to experience the dark side that comes with the light. Like, there was a point where I really began to contemplate life. Like, I wanted nothing to do with life. I saw no purpose in life, not necessarily my life. Well, I guess, yeah, but just like life. I was like, what am I doing here? You know? And then after I went all through this, I realized that I had experienced the what's called the dark night of the soul, you know, where you kind of just want out, where you're just like, you kind of see like the bigger picture of like the world, and you're just like, wow, there is so much work to be done. But anyways, kind of removed my fear of death. I have also experienced out-of-body experiences, near-death experience, which I look forward to sharing. But all I will say about that for now is that life is so beautiful, beyond words can even describe. Like, each breath that we take is such a miracle, you know? But anyways, it's been a process. Then after that, like, my life began to fall apart. Everything, my job, career, relationships, just like everything. Past traumas were brought back to the surface for me to deal with and heal completely from, which I thought I had healed from. And so I just knew that I had to make changes in my life to really step into like my higher self. So I did transition into a vegan diet. I meditate every day. I do yoga every day. I listen to my body. I'm able to tap into my intuition and go in more. It just feels right for me in the place that I'm in. Maybe different for other people, but now I look at my life and I look back and I'm like, wow, my life looks like a puzzle. Like, everything I went through just makes sense. Like, everything just makes perfect sense. And I'm so grateful and for every experience that I had and everything that I did go through, because we do meet every single person in our life for a reason. I strongly believe that. In my current personal path, I would say that I'm very positive and very hopeful for myself and for the world. Like, I think that I do see more good than bad. Like, I think that our world is moving towards a huge shift because of this reason, because people are realizing that we are so powerful and that we're all connected. And when you realize that, like, your life changes. And now I'm like able to see myself in everyone, like, because we are all the same. We're just different versions of each other. So yeah, if you are going through something like this, just know that you are not alone, and trust that there is light behind the darkness. You are never alone. Trust me. And if you do want to get in touch with your higher self or your purpose, I would say begin with questioning everything. Like, just question everything. Like, why do you believe what you believe? Why do you believe the things that you believe? Like, where did you get that from, right? Like, stop watching TV and the media that's feeding you garbage. Meditate, spend time in nature, practice gratitude, and above all, you must spend time alone. Like, you have to spend time alone, especially in this world today that's so freaking loud. Like, it's so hard to find silence anywhere. Like, you have to lock yourself in a room. For real. Observe your thoughts. Listen to the voice inside of you when you're in silence. So yeah, that's basically my little story. I could definitely go on and talk more about this, but I don't want to bore you all. If any of you guys have gone through this, if you resonate with any of it, comment. If I sound crazy, I don't know, comment. And yeah, what a beautiful time it is to be alive. Thank you for existing.